Hi, I'm Kathy. I got a question this week from a parent asking me about the difference between Asperger syndrome and high functioning autism. She had a pediatrician that had told her actually they were one and the same thing. And that's a very common but sort of an unfortunate misunderstanding among those two terms. And it's very easy to see how we can be confused by Asperger's and high functioning autism, especially if you don't meet the individual until they are, say, a young adult or an adult or somewhere past the middle school. Because if you are to meet a child with Asperger's, they present very similar to a child with high functioning autism once they reach, say, middle school, high school, or adulthood. Language usually has developed by then. They're functioning pretty good in school, and so it's really difficult, and so it's easy to think of them as being the same thing. But they're actually very, very different disorders. In order to separate Asperger's from high functioning autism, you have to back up. You've got to talk to the parent or the primary caregiver and get the history of that child. And when you go back far enough, particularly to the development of language, that's when you're going to see the difference between if this is a person with Asperger's or is this a person with autism. The child with autism always has language delays. Language does not develop normally. Language will develop late. Language will not develop at all. You will have problems with speech. You will have echolalia, where they just simply repeat back what you've said to them. So you get a lot of pronoun reversals in their language. For example, if the child wanted you to pick them up, they would say, "I pick you up," because what they're doing is saying what they want you to say. That's that sort of pronoun reversal that we look for. Language is always spoken language is always a problem for people with autism, even if they develop fairly good language skills as young adults or as adults. It's never their preferred form of communication. It will always be a problem for them. Very different than Asperger's. An Asperger child growing up develops language normally. You will find speech at the appropriate time. You won't get those kind of pronoun reversals. The semantics of their language is very clean and normal. But you will get inappropriate language skills. The social use of their language is incorrect. They become very obsessed, just like people with autism, very narrow focus of interest. And then as young adults, they tend to be very obsessed in what they're talking about, and they tend to surround themselves either with no friends because they've alienated people because of their inability to carry on a social conversation, or more commonly, they will have friends, but they tend to surround themselves with friends who have that same narrow focus of interest of whatever they're interested in. So as young adults, when you see these two people, the young adult person with high functioning autism, the young adult person with Asperger's, they do present very similar. But if you go back again and look through the history, you will find there's a big difference between those two, and you will find it in the way that they have developed language. For research on this, some citations on it, or for more information, go to brains.org.